The big question for the last little while has been, is Marvel's box office supremacy completely over? Well, Deadpool and Wolverine came out today, and there's a chance that the MCU is back. The group chat is here. There is a lot to get into. Let's go. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This is Commotion. Look, the new Deadpool movie is in theaters. The Olympics are here. Luckily, this is the day where we talk about the big pop culture stories of the week. The group chat is here. Rachel Ho is here. Teri Hart is here. Radheyan Simonpillai is here. Rachel and Teri and Rad, welcome to the show, y'all. How you doing?
Hello.
You know what this is? This is the lineup that brings me delight. All of you bring me delight, and I'm happy that you're all here. Okay, I think the best place to start for us is here.
Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now.
Look, lady, I'm not interested.
All right, well, I'm sort of on the tick-tick, so upsy daisy. Here we go. Oh, whiskey dick of the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40.
You don't want this.
Unless you want to take a deep breath through your forehead, I suggest you reconsider.
That is Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. From what you can hear, just having the time of their lives. In Deadpool and Wolverine, which opens in theaters today, this is the third Deadpool movie, but it's the first to integrate Deadpool into both the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe and also the X-Men universe. And this is really important. It's the first R-rated movie in the entirety of the MCU. It only took them, 18 years to get here. Rachel, I think before we get into this movie, maybe we should set the table and talk about where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is right now. It's dominated the box office for the last more than 15 years, but it's kind of been firing a lot of misses than hits lately. What is going on right now with the MCU?
I mean, the MCU is in the toilet. Let's be completely
Wow.
honest.
Okay.
About
All right.
It is.
That
like
escalated.
they haven't had anything of note that is even interesting or mildly we want to talk about it. And I've never been the biggest MCU fan. I like it. It's fine. I'll go in, I'll watch it and everything.
Sure.
But I kind of got a bit annoyed with them in the last 5 some odd years because I just feel like they've been really disrespectful to their fans. They are putting out the most egregious nonsense out there, knowing that they're our fans are going to come up, they're going to show up on opening weekend, doesn't matter what we put out there, so just give them something and they'll show up. And I think that their output has definitely reflected that sort of attitude. And so I've been very pleased to see that even the most loyal fans have started to be yeah, we're not going. We're done with this. This is just ridiculous. And to get those people off of the Marvel bandwagon is impressive because those guys were ride or die for Marvel for the longest time there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think maybe they've realized fans just aren't going to put up with their crap anymore and they needed a reset.
Yeah, I'll give $1 million to anyone who can name 3 actors in Eternals right now. And I saw that movie, and I can't even do it. So, Teri, we get to this moment. Deadpool is a brand that I think has some juice in it left still. What is the significance of folding Deadpool into the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe?
So, in a lot of ways, this movie is about IP. It's about intellectual property, and it's about the fallout of that IP from when Disney bought Fox back in 2019. The Deadpool and X-Men franchises, they were from Fox. They weren't from Disney. They weren't from Marvel. And now we have them back together after their fate was kind of questionable when Disney bought Fox. We didn't exactly know if Disney was going to go for these harder edged characters and storylines, and certainly the R rating that Deadpool has always had.
Yeah.
So, the MCU, I don't even think it's just theatrically, which I believe the MCU, I agree with Rachel, it's in the toilet. And I think that it's also because of Disney Plus. They're pumping out just so much content everywhere. Everybody has their own show. Everybody has their own storyline. And I don't even know the flow charts to follow all these storylines, right? It's impossible. So we haven't heard from Deadpool in 6 years. Logan killed off Wolverine 7 years ago. So somehow these two characters feel kind of fresh again.
Hmm.
Plus, they're not the Avengers, and God knows we got reminded of that a lot
In this
throughout
movie?
Deadpool and Wolverine. And so I do think that the significance is huge because, and we're trying to talk about this without any spoilers.
Yeah.
So go with me here, without any spoilers. But the use of the variance authority, the time variance
authority.
time variance authority.
Yeah, sure.
And the void and the multiverse. It's really allowing the MCU to dig a bit deeper into some of the IP that they now own from the purchase
Yes.
of Fox. My goodness, it's hard to talk without spoilers about this one, but I'm going to. So I do think that
great.
Disney and the MCU are kind of hanging all their hopes and dreams and their stock price, which is also in the toilet. I think they're hanging all of that on this first R-rated movie out of the MCU and essentially Ryan Reynolds' vision.
I mean, I have to say, Rad, watching through this movie, I was like, first of all, this is barely a movie. This is like most of what this movie is appearances from people you once used to know in different capacities. And it's fun. And I had a great time. And if you get a chance to go see Deadpool and Wolverine before you get the cameos and appearances spoiled for you, you should definitely do that. But also, I felt like watching this movie, it is a movie that is trying to reckon with the fact that all of these IP wars have defined cinema for the last 20 years or so. And in many ways kind of being frustrated by that. So they made a lot of references to previous characters. They made a lot of references to the fact that, like 5 different people have played the Punisher and none of them have really worked out. Like it's a Deadpool in many ways is a very effective vehicle to do that because he does break the fourth wall all the time. He does talk to the audience about Wolverine and about, the fact that, hey, Fox killed him, but Disney revived him and they're going to make him work for another 90 years. All of those jokes, they worked for me. And so I was watching this be like, I don't think this is a movie. I think this is like a thesis statement on what the MCU has done to cinema. But I don't know about you. How are you feeling with this movie coming out of Deadpool and Wolverine?
I mean, I think I certainly didn't have a great time like you did, sir. But we talk about what this movie is. I mean, trying to follow any semblance of a coherent story in this was a bit like trying to listen to Teri trying to say time variance authority. That's the struggle of
wow, a roast. Okay, go on.
No, I say that with love to Teri and not a lot of respect for the storytelling in this movie. I mean, that's why it was so hard. Because there isn't, like you said, there isn't a story being told here. This is, in fact, whatever semblance of a story that is being told here is Deadpool recruits Wolverine to save the universe, goes to
void.
It hits the void in the multiverse, the trash bin of the multiverse, where all the discarded characters go. And so this movie becomes this celebration of trash, is right? In a way that is, I think, fitting for Deadpool. If you think about Deadpool,
of trash.
it is, right? Yeah. I mean, if you think about what he does. It's like you get trash needle drops, NSYNC, bye. You get trash, and then you get and it's the irony.
Opening sequence.
Hang on, guys. Let's yell at Rad one at a time. We can't all do it all at the same time. Rachel, when I hear Rad say that, first of all, I think, gosh, Rad is no fun. But second, and perhaps more importantly, I think he's a little bit right about the idea of the semblance of plot. There's barely a plot there. I think that's totally true. But I do think, and this is what rescues the movie a little bit, is that this is a movie of Disney trying to have a conversation with itself, being we kind of messed up. We had a good thing going, and then we messed up in several different ways. I mean, Deadpool has a long extended scene where he goes, wow, the multiverse is really not working out for anybody. What do you think of this movie?
So I completely, there's no story. They're the reason that Teri can't say TVA, because who remembers that? It's nonsense.
You guys didn't watch Loki, and I can tell.
I've watched Loki, and I still had to look up what does TVA stand for again. I was like, so it's just there's no story. But I'm not that mad at it. I kind of feel like we don't need a story right now. I don't, things aren't going well in the world, and maybe we just need to sit in a theater and watch 2 very beloved actors and 2 very beloved characters just kind of have fun and swear and cuss and do all the things that they do. And maybe that's just all we need right now. I don't think it saves the MCU. I don't think that this movie is going to improve things. I mean, I think the test is what comes after this, because you say this is Disney saying we acknowledge the fact that we messed up. We didn't do it right. But then this movie doesn't absolve them from anything. So the next movie that they do they actually improve upon that? Do they actually put care in an actual story, or do they continue with this stupid timeline branch nonsense that they've been doing?
My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion, and I'm with two people who are really fun, Rachel Ho and Teri Hart, and one who's terribly not fun at all, Radheyan Simonpillai. And we are talking about the big pop culture stories of this week. We just talked about Deadpool and Wolverine, which is out in theaters today, but right now we're going to switch gears to this. Okay, so that is Lady Gaga. She's performing the old classic Edith Piaf standard La Vie en Rosa. We're talking on Friday morning. I should tell people that we're talking right now on Friday morning, and in a few hours, the reports say that Gaga is going to perform that song at the opening ceremonies of the 2024 Paris Olympics. And word is she's going to be doing that alongside the one and only Celine Dion. Look, that's a big deal. If that happens, that's going to be Celine's first performance since 2022, which is when she revealed that she's been diagnosed with a rare illness. She shared her struggles in a documentary that came out last month. Rachel, we'll talk about the Olympics themselves in a second, but maybe how are we feeling about the possibility of a Celine performance at the Olympics right now?
It'd be really triumphant, wouldn't? I felt really terrible after watching that documentary, because beforehand I kind of was like, I'm so ashamed to admit it, but I was like, well, Julie Andrews went through something, really terrible, and she didn't make a documentary out of it. Like, relax, Celine, like, calm down. Then I watched the documentary, and I felt like just a trash human being. It's a
shocking watch.
It was very shocking. So it would be amazing to see her get out on stage and do the thing that we've always seen Celine do since, 80s, 90s, whenever it was. But it's tough to see how that could happen. If you've seen the documentary, it's like, how is this going to happen? How is this going to work? And so I feel like we're all, if she does show up, which we all, I think, hope she does, I think we're all going to be just like waiting, like holding our breath, making sure she's okay, and delivering the way that we know Celine can deliver. So fingers crossed for her. I really hope to see her tonight.
Teri, again, we are talking Friday morning. This is before the opening ceremonies have happened. And I have full body chills at the mere possibility of Celine Dion performing. And I should say, performing with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga, in 2017, she was very publicly said, she's been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. We're talking about two very giant stars dealing with chronic illness, but also dealing with chronic illness and then arriving maybe at the Olympics to perform together. How are you feeling about the potential of this moment?
Everything that Rachel just said, I mirror. I'm excited. I'm anticipatory. I want it to happen. I also want her to be safe. And I think that we learned a lot in the documentary about things that can be triggers for this stiff person syndrome that she has.
Yeah.
And they include excitement and loud noise and lights. And
all of which are things that you expect at the Olympics, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, on one hand, yes, I want it for her. I want it for us, but mostly I want Celine Dion to be safe. And I don't want this to be something that turns into a different kind of spectacle. And you have to believe that if this happens, she has gone down the road and talked to all of her doctors, and her doctors have said go. And, we just saw Michael J. Fox at Glastonbury. People can do incredible things. And she has said that she doesn't want to give up performing. And maybe this is an opportunity on such a grand stage for her to continue that in some way, with the support of somebody like Gaga, who would have a level of empathy because of her own situation. So I'm very hopeful, and I'm very nervous.
I feel both emotions as well. I should point out Lady Gaga worked for some time with Tony Bennett as he was sort of going through his own chronic illnesses. So she has a bit of experience of shepherding legends really through these moments of like really, really high stakes performances. Rad is not a sports guy. We should just tell the whole group chat this right now. But Rad,
They
listen,
kick ball at sport?
they do many balls, many types of balls, all over the place. Okay, listen, Rad. Let me sell you on this year's Olympics like this. For the first time, the opening ceremonies are not taking place in a giant stadium. They're actually taking place along the Seine. That sounds lovely. But also, I don't know if you've seen the photos of like a bunch of different Olympic venues have basically been incorporated into Paris. So like there's one that's like right in front of the Eiffel Tower where like the judo performances are going to happen. I think like the Georges Pompidou Museum has been turned into some kind of arena. There's something about incorporating the city into the venues where these sports happen. Do you hear that and go, you know what? Maybe I'll participate a little bit more this year, Rad?
I mean, you're speaking my language. I love aesthetics.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know you do. I'm trying to speak your language, pal. I'm trying.
I don't know if that necessitates like that. Like that means that I need to go tune in and watch the sport happen.
I wish you
but
would.
Like at least I'd love to consume it on Instagram because when you're describing that to me, like judo in front of the Eiffel Tower, that brings back fond memories of Street Fighter to me. When you're playing a video game and they're all fighting in front of like the iconic moments. Like I want a little bit of that. If the sport did that more often, I might tune in more often, or at least just consume it on Instagram.
What about the addition? Okay, so Rad, they've also added, I don't know if you know this or not, but they've added breakdancing as a sport for the first time in the Olympics this year. That's, I think, happening August 9th and 10th. We should say Phil Wizard, who is a Canadian, he's the only Canadian we're sending, and he's like a gold medal contender. Will that do it, Rad? Will anything do it?
I mean, I'm a deep lover of Step Up.
So
I love my dance movies. I love so that is a way for for the Olympics to then break away from track and field and these things that I don't know who cares about this stuff anymore and include breakdancing. Yeah, I might that is actually capturing my attention. And I think that it was like it's very smart of them to bring in more aesthetic art forms into what the Olympics can be.
Oh, I love this for me. We finally got him, folks. We got Rad, at least marginally curious in a little bit of sports. Okay, before we finish up our conversation today, I would like all of your opinions on this.
Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son? Oh, where have you been, my darling young one? I stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains. I walked and I crawled.
That is the trailer of the upcoming film, A Complete Unknown. It stars Timothée Chalamet as a young Bob Dylan on the road to stardom in the early 60s. All of those words are catnip to this guy. Like, I hear all of those and I go, yes, I'm on board. Yes, I'm on board. Yes, I'm on board. And then here's how you really get me on board and in the seat. That is actually Timothée Chalamet singing A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall in that trailer. Look, the movie doesn't come out till December, but the internet has had like a really big reaction to this trailer coming out and to Timothée Chalamet doing a Bob Dylan impression. So we're going to go around the table. We're going to talk a little bit about this moment in Timothée Chalamet and this choice because I really love it for him. But maybe I'll go to you, Rachel, first. Do you hear that and you watch this trailer and go, yeah, I'm on board. I'll watch this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
wow. All right.
I don't know if it's like it doesn't move the needle for me. I think I was interested. I'm like you. I would say, oh, it's a Bob Dylan. It's Timothée Chalamet. I'll go watch it. It's James Mangold. I'll go watch it. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I don't think the trailer necessarily moved the needle. It did make me think, oh, this isn't going to be crap. Like I do think he sounds great. I was really impressed to find out that was actually him singing. And I think it looks good. And James Mangold's got a good track record. So I trust that a lot. I think it'll be, at minimum, it'll be an interesting film for us to dive into, I think, come December when it does come out. But yeah, I'm hopeful for Timmy as Bob.
Yeah.
Bobby.
Look, when you have Timothée Chalamet and Bob Dylan and James Mangold, like that's my Olympics, Teri. Those you hear all those things and I go, I don't know what other people's Olympics are, but that to me, that is like the core of all the things that I react to aesthetically. The movie looks incredible from the trailer. Is this something that is like in your wheelhouse? Were you surprised at how good Timothée Chalamet's singing? What's your reaction?
He can't surprise me in anything. I mean, I just think that he's capable of everything. I think that he's just one. I mean, when he did Wonka and he was like, no, I mean, I had to learn how to dance properly. So I just took dance classes for a year. Yeah. And then when he realized he was not that good, he's like, I'm going to keep taking dance classes because I'm a performer and I need to know how to sing and act and dance. I need to do it all. Yeah. And I believe that that is the kind of artist he is. For the record, I saw this trailer in the movie theater before Deadpool and Wolverine that I saw yesterday. Yeah. And so that was exciting. And I think it hit just differently. But I just want everybody to go back and watch it again. Yeah, he has like a kind of whiff of Bob Dylan, but you know who he looks like? He looks like Jeremy Allen White. He looks more like Jeremy Allen White. I sent a side by side to Stuart, our producer, and I'm like, come on, look at him. He looks like Jeremy Allen White. Anyway,
I got to watch it again.
Yeah, that's my initial. I'll send you the side by side. But that was my initial take. But listen, I don't think it's right when we try to make actors look exactly like the person they're portraying. Yeah. If you look at, what happened with Bradley Cooper and Leonard Bernstein, didn't go well. So I think that we have to recognize that they are different people playing this character. And I think they kind of found the right balance here with Chalamet and Dylan.
Rad, I'm interested in this moment in Timothée Chalamet because it's not like he's been on the ascendancy for a year or two. It's more like 5 or 6. It's like, it feels in many ways like a traditional way of making a movie star. Like you kind of keep escalating your career and, with making bigger movies and bigger movies and bigger movies. And then, of course, that culminates in Dune 2, Dune Part 2, which came out earlier this year. And he pulls that off. He carries his giant blockbuster on his shoulders. For him to do this next, or I guess for this to come next in the timing of his career, I think that's an interesting choice because like this to me feels like a prestige, almost sort of like direct Oscars play in ways that I haven't really seen from Timothée Chalamet before. What do you make of this moment in Timothy?
I'm kind of torn on Timothée Chalamet because on the one hand,
sure.
I think I have to. No, I mean, look, the guy doesn't make much of an impression on me, and that might be a good thing. That might be like, he kind of disappears into his roles in a way where outside of those roles, this guy does nothing for me. Yeah. And I wonder sometimes if somebody better could have been brought more charisma to the role in Dune and stuff like that, right? So that's an interesting thing. And then seeing him approach this role, equally does nothing for me. Okay. And I'm inviting your scorn with this.
Because, all of our scorn. Absolutely.
It's because Bob Dylan does nothing for me.
No, we have a bigger problem. We have a bigger problem than Timothée Chalamet.
The guy from the Martin Scorsese documentaries. Yeah, okay, I get it. Like, all right, cool. Like, that's the so this being a moment in Timothée Chalamet's career, like I'm not really feeling it as much as I have admiration for Timothée Chalamet, as much as I appreciate a lot of people's admiration for Bob Dylan, which I'm sorry I can't name any of his songs. But then now I take all of that back after hearing you guys mention the name James Mangold, who I didn't know was involved in this, and no, I think he's a hack. Sorry, James Mangold, the guy who can feign seriousness but like is actually just pandering to the audience with movies like Logan and Ford versus Ferrari. You guys lost me.
I can't in good conscience let people walk away from the show based on that. Teri, please have the last word on this, so that can't be the last note that I leave it on. Teri, up to you.
I would say that Timothée Chalamet has been steadily working towards the Oscar stage. I'd say he's done everything that takes him out of that playbook. He played, a true story drug addict in Beautiful Boy against Steve Carell. He's played a singing and dancing big movie in Wonka. He's got the big sci-fi actioner in Dune, and now he's playing a musical biopic. He knows his team knows the track that he's on, and they're staying in that lane squarely. This is a playbook out of what do you do next to get that Oscar.
And as Rad and Shania Twain have long said, that don't impress me much, as it turns out. Regrettably, we gotta leave it there so that Rad doesn't give me an aneurysm by the end of this episode. Teri Hart, Rachel Ho, Rad Simonpillai, you guys are the best. This has been a delight. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I love you all. Bye.
Bye, folks. Thank you so much. Rachel Ho is a film editor for Exclaim. Teri Hart is an entertainment reporter. And Rad Simonpillai mostly drives me mad, but also he's a film critic with CBC and CTV. To watch the Olympics or catch up on the highlights, head over to CBC TV or CBC Gem. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion, and hey, we'll see you next week.